Okay, let us start. So here del R by R equal to del L by L minus del A by A plus dou rho by rho. We know that the area of cross section of the cylindrical rod is or wire is pi d square by 4. So if you differentiate this, say del A by A with respect to D, del D. So what do you get? Del A by A 2 pi D 2 pi D by 4. So cancel pi D by 2. So pi D by 2. So del A by A, if you want to get del A by A, okay, del A by A, what do you get? Del A divide this D by D in numerator and denominator. So del A by A, you bring this D to this side, D, del D, del D. So del A by A, if you want to divide this thing also by A, so pi equal to pi D into del D by 2 pi r square, 2 pi r square, or 2 pi d square by 4. So this 4, this D cancel. This D and this D one D cancel. So this 2, this cancel. So it becomes 2. This 2 goes to the numerator. So what do you get? Del A by A is nothing but this pi. This pi also cancel. So del A by A equal to del D by D. 2 del D by D. 2 times del D by D. Okay, we reached here. So 2 times del D by D. So del A by A equal to 2 times del D by D. So what is del D? What is del D here? What is del D? This is del D is nothing but instead of A by A, del A by A equal to 2 del D by D. We know that. Understand? Now, let us discuss about first let us know about the Poisson's ratio. What is Poisson's ratio? Minus of lateral strain del D by D to longitudinal strain del L by L. So Poisson's ratio is nothing but del D by D minus of del D by D by del L by L. This is lateral strain. This is longitudinal strain. So del L by L. Okay, del L by L. So what is del A by del A by del D by, sorry, instead of del D by D, we are going to substitute minus sigma, that is Poisson's ratio, into del L by L. So instead of del A by A, so here instead of del A by A, which is equal to del A by A is equal to, instead of del D by D, what do we put? Minus sigma 2 times Okay, this is here del d by d 2 times minus sigma 2 times del L by L. Okay, so minus 2 times del L by L. Del A by A. Instead of del A by A only we should substitute, no, minus 2 here, minus 2 del L by L, minus 2 sigma del D by D. No, we have to replace instead of del A by A, instead of del A by A, right here. Del A sorry, del A by A equal to minus 2 del D by D. Understand? Del D by D. So what is del D by D? Del D by D by del L by L, minus of del L by L. So this becomes 2 times sigma. This is equal to minus 2 times, the same 2 is here. Instead of del D by D, what we are putting here is del D by D here, sigma, sorry, this is only sigma times minus del L by L. Sigma times del L by L. Sorry for this delay. So del A by L A is nothing but minus 2 sigma del L by L. So here I missed here, that's my problem. Del R by R equal to 1 plus 2. In here minus 1 minus here. So this minus becomes plus. So plus is here. So del R by R equal to, you are taking del L by L as a common factor here. So 1 plus 2 times sigma into del L by L plus del rho by rho. So now we are dividing the entire equation by del L by L. Sorry. So del R by R divided by del L by L. So this del L by L cancel. Here one del L by L is replaced. Okay. Now come to our final expression. The Koch factor is nothing but per unit change in strain in the Koch to per unit change in resistance of the strain Koch to per unit strain. So del L by L is strain. Okay, this is equal to 1 plus 2 sigma plus del rho, change in resistivity, specific resistance divided by specific resistance. This is per unit change in resistance, resistivity divided by strain. So here we are going to define about this. This is very low quantity. You see here the Koch factor is del R by R divided by del L by L equal to 1 plus 2 sigma. We are going to define del dou rho by dou plus del L by L, okay, dou L by L. So that is equivalent to this phi 1 E, that's all. This phi 1 is nothing but, this is E is modulus of elasticity. This is per unit change in resistance. This is per unit change in the piezo resistance coefficient. So this is Young's modulus, the Young's Poisson's ratio. The Poisson's ratio of the metal. Normally strain gauge elements are manufactured using metal only. Okay, so the Poisson's ratio of metal is normally lies between normally less than 1, particularly metals in the range of 0.3 to 0.6. Okay, so 0.3, similarly piezo resistance constant coefficient, this is called piezo resistance coefficient. This value lies between 0.3 and 0.6. Okay, sorry, 0.2 and 0.6, not 0.3, 0.2 and 0.6. So this value is very, very small when compared with these two. So we can neglect these values. The entire values we can neglect from this expression. So Koch factor is simply del R by R divided by del L by L. So this is very important derivation. Okay, let us once again revise this. According to the limiting error expression, the formula, the change in resistance is defined by dou R by dou L into del L plus dou R by dou A into dou A plus dou R by dou rho into dou rho. Then del R is nothing but just simply differentiate, partially differentiate this expression with respect to dou L, with respect to L. So L is on the numerator. So dou rho by A is keeping constant. So what do we get? Only L, only we get dou rho by A into del L minus similarly dou rho by A into A, that is minus A. We have to differentiate with respect to A. It is in the denominator. So minus A square, 1 by A square. Rho L divided by minus rho L divided by A square into del A. Similarly, if you differentiate with respect to rho, L by A constant, keeping L by A with respect to rho. The dou rho by dou rho is 1. Okay. Then we are manipulating by bringing this expression to R. We are doing the manipulation. Finally, we got the expression. So for then we get del R by R equal to del L by L minus del A by A plus del rho by rho, by dividing the entire expression by R. Okay, on both sides we divide the expression by R, so we get del R by R equal to this one. Now we are going to replace del A by A. For that we are going to follow this formula. So what is A? A is nothing but area of the cross section of the wire. So pi d square by 4. Okay, pi d square by 4. So if you differentiate this, differential of A equal to pi d. Okay, simply pi d by 4. So divide the pi d del A by del d equal to pi d by 4. Now divide this expression both sides by A. We get 2 times del d by d. Del A by A equal to 2 times del d by d. We are going to find the alternate value for del d by d. We go for Poisson's ratio. The Poisson's ratio is nothing but minus of lateral strain to longitudinal strain. Lateral strain is a change in diameter to original diameter. Then divided by longitudinal strain is increasing length to original length. So del L by L. So if you substitute this thing here, we get del A by A equal to minus 2 times Poisson's ratio of del L by L. Minus 2 times Poisson's ratio of this. This we get minus. So it becomes 1 plus 2 sigma del L by L. So we are taking dividing whole equation by del L by L. here. So we get del R by R divided by del L by L to 1 plus 2 sigma this. So this is called piezoresistive. This is called per unit change in piezoresistivity. So it is nothing but phi 1 E. E is the modulus of elasticity. Phi 1 is nothing but piezoresistive coefficient. Piezoresistive coefficient. So the piezoresistive coefficient is vary from 0.1 to 0.6. Sigma Poisson's ratio also vary from 0.3 to 0.6. Here 0.2 to 0.6. So when sigma also very less, then this also less. When compared with this, this can be neglected. This term can be neglected. So the Koch factor is simply del R by R del L by L. The properties of strain Koch. What are the properties? The Koch factor of strain Koch is mostly vary from 1.8 to 2.6. Some cases up to 20 Koch factor value. Whereas the semiconductor type strain Koch have 50 to 150, 50 to 150. Then the nominal value of Koch factor elements, the nominal value of Koch factor elements are 120 ohm, 350 ohm, 1000 ohm, etc. These are all called nominal values. Nominal value of the strain Koch is, say, the manufacturer specify 120 ohm. 120 ohm nominal value of the strain Koch, and they also define, also give what is the Koch factor value of the strain Koch. So these two value normally specified by the manufacturer. Apart from this, very important thing is current, optimizing current, maximum Koch current. The maximum Koch current is up from 15 milliampere to 100 milliampere. So this current value, maximum current we can give to avoid self-heating error. Okay, this is very important topic. What is self-heating error? What is self-heating error? So all are metals. Okay, so the strain Koches are metal. Okay. Hello. Mute yourself, please. Strain Koch is always metal. Okay. So what happened if we pass some current through the metal, the strain Koch element? So what happened? So since current is passing through the metal, it generates some heat. Okay. That heat is called I square R. I square R. So this loss, suppose this strain Koch resistance is 120 ohm. If we pass more than 100 milliampere through this suppose 150 milliampere we are passing through this. When we pass 150 milliampere, that current generates some heat. What happens if heat increases? Because of this I square R, this heat, the resistance also increases. So from when there is no stressed condition, when we apply force, then only the strain Koch increases. It should increase the value from 120 to some value del R. Okay. When it is unstretched condition, the strain Koch element resistance should not vary. Okay. So unstrained condition, it should show only 120. But if we pass more than 100 milliampere, the specified current of the manufacturer, it gives some resistance, some change in resistance due to self-heating error. Self-heating error. So the del RS is due to the maximum current, the additional current. Okay. So these four specifications are very important. So Koch factor of normal. Suppose in the examination, if the examiner fails to give Koch factor value of a particular element, you can take the Koch factor value of the transducer as 2. You can take you can assume the Koch factor value of the given strain gauge is 2. If the examiner failed to give the value for Koch factor. Okay, the famous strain gauges are made up of advanced alloy and nichrome. So advanced alloy is the mixing of these two components. So mixing of two metals together called a alloy. So advanced alloy. So the gauge factor value of advanced. This advanced also called constant on. So the gauge factor value, most of the cases, the examiner will give advanced alloy or isoelastic alloy or manganese alloy. Then constant on. This is called advanced alloy. So the advanced alloy 45% nickel, 50% copper. Then nichrome, 80% nickel and 20% cobalt. So gauge factor value from 2.2 to 2.5. Understand? These are all the various materials. Then composition of the materials, alloy. These are all material alloy. So you could see here, silicon, a P-type silicon, N-type silicon, semiconductor type strain gauges. The gauge factor value see 100 to 170. N-type means -140 to -100. The temperature coefficient alpha, temperature coefficient of resistance, because since these are all metal combinations alloy, the alpha value for alloy, advanced alloy is 15 into 10 power minus 6 per ohms per degree Celsius. Actually, 10 power minus 6 ohms per degree Celsius. Okay. So these are all the important materials. Next, these are all unbonded type. This is the physical structure. Say, actually, this bonded type strain gauge size is very small. So 5 millimeter to 10 millimeter length, 10 millimeter width for 5 millimeter, and thickness is just 1 mm or 2 mm, maximum 2 mm. These are all different sizes. Here, the strain gauge wires, there are 4 strain gauge wires here. See, the one wire, 1 and 2, see 1 and 2, actually this is a movable frame. This is movable. There are 2 frames here. This is movable frame. This is fixed frame. This is fixed frame. This is nothing but fixing bar, fixing bar. This is fixed element. Actually, this is fixed at one place. This only movable. So the movable arm is connected to the process where we are intended to measure the displacement or force or displacement. Okay, so you can measure using this bonded strain gauge for force or displacement. Okay, force or displacement. Suppose if we apply force towards this direction, the movable arm, this movable plate moves towards this side. Okay, when it moves towards this side, please try to understand here. When we try to move this side, okay, this 1 and 2, this 1 and 2, so 1 and 2, so this 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 subjected to tension. This wire, this tensile, this becomes tensile. Okay, tensile. Then 3 and 4, 3 and 1 and, sorry, when we apply force towards this side, correct, 1 and this wire 1, this one subjected to tension, and this 3. So 1 and 3 subjected to tension, the 2 and 4 subjected to compression. Okay, you can easily see here, when we move this movable frame towards this side, these two subjected to tension, the these two wires subjected to compression. Compression means there is a buckling effect. Okay, there is a buckling effect. So buckling effect happens here. Okay. There's a buckling effect. So we have to design this frame such a way that to avoid the buckling effect, when it applies a tensile force this side, these two alone, the wire 1 and 3 alone subjected to tension, these two subjected to compression, but we should allow for compression, but the wire should not make like this, because here fixed, when these two are extended, the 1 and 3 are applied to tension, means the length is extended. So since increasing length, the Koch factor resistance also increases, whereas the 2 and 4 buckling, this is called buckling effect. So we have to design this unbonded strain gauges to avoid the buckling effect. We have to design such a way that to avoid buckling effect. Understand? So next is this are all rosettes. I already explained before. We have to, the strain gauges are mainly, this is you could see in the laboratory, this strain gauge is a cantilever beam. So to detect when we apply force or weight, you can do some experiment using weight, placing weight. Okay, when we apply force at this end, the maximum strain will be developed. Okay, the maximum strain will be developed. See, when the cantilever beam, when we apply force, it bends like this. So the maximum strain will be developed at nearer to the fixed end. So we have to select the appropriate place where the strain will be developed maximum. So in as I told you earlier, when a fixed rod, fixed bar, when we apply tensile like this is fixed. So where the maximum strength on the line of action, along the center of gravity. So in that case, when we apply force or tension to this line of action, this direction, so we have to bond this strain gauge here. Whereas in the cantilever beam, we have to bond the strain gauge nearer to the fixed end. Okay, nearer to the fixed end. Understand? So to avoid this, we are manufacturing combination of 2 or more strain gauges. So what is the purpose of rosettes? Rosettes are nothing but the combination of 2 or more strain gauges to detect the distributive strain developed in the process, okay, or in the surface. So here, this rectangular strain gauge, this is called delta rosettes. This is rectangular rosettes. This is plus, okay. So plus or the cross rosettes. These are all different rosettes. This is called delta because it's in delta shape. It is rectangular shape. This is square shape. So this shape for different surfaces. Okay, the types of rosettes. What are the purpose of rosettes? Rosettes are mainly for detecting the distributive strain where the uniaxial line of action is not exist. These are all different types of bonded type strain gauges: flat and grade, then paper tube type, then helical type. This is helical type, then foil type, wire type. So these are all wire type. This is flattened grid wire. This is foil type. This is one more type is helical. So helical means the resistive filament is in the form of helical. Okay, helical. So these are all helical type strain gauges. So these are all the different type of strain